I'm going to talk really quickly about perspective shifts before I share this video that we did really quickly and that makes me wish I would have looked in the mirror at my hair before I did it, but whatever. Anyway, look for perspective shifts. Perspective shifts are powerful. If you can create them yourself, do it by decluttering, experiencing what it means to live with less, and I'm guaranteeing that is going to be the thing that will empower you, inspire you to keep decluttering. But sometimes you're too overwhelmed to even do that. So look for these opportunities for perspective shifts. That's what this is about. So here's a little story about perspective shifts. My husband and I, when we first got married, lived in an apartment for 2 years, and then we bought our first home hours away from where we had always lived, okay? So we moved to a new area. Houses were different, people were different, whatever. We went to this new town looking for houses, and in our mind, there was a certain kind of house that we were supposed to have, according to what we'd always been familiar with growing up, according to the kinds of houses that everybody we knew who was buying houses, what they were getting. So we thought, oh, okay, this is the kind of house we're supposed to look for. But then we moved there and we bought that kind of house on the lower end of the price range. But we got there and we started making friends. Eventually, not that it was easy, but we started making friends with other people who were in our stage of life. And a lot of them lived in homes that were ones we hadn't even looked at because our perspective was we just thought, oh, well, this is how things are supposed to be. And then we got to know people and thought, oh, we could have had a lot older, maybe smaller, cheaper home, and made it cute and made it homey. So once we looked at a house again, we had a very different view of what we needed because our perspective had changed. So looking for those opportunities to change your perspective, that is powerful. Okay, here you go, a little bit rambly, a little bit crazy, but I hope you get what I'm talking about. Here's the video. I'm Dana K. White of aslobcomesclean.com and the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life. So I'm staying in a vacation rental right now. Actually, we're packing up and leaving, and I'm making this really quick before I do, but it just seems like a good idea to have this conversation because this is a conversation that goes through my own head because I talk to myself, but also is a conversation I hear basically anytime someone comes back from a vacation rental in my Patreon group. So this is a common thought process that people like me have after we stay in a place that has the bare minimum. So I'm not a minimalist. We all know that, right? I think it's great. I think that's awesome if you are, and that's exactly what you should do if that's what works for you. But one of the reasons I don't teach minimalism is because I'm really here for the person who's completely overwhelmed with all their stuff. And the problem is, for those of us completely overwhelmed with all of our stuff, we can't even imagine minimalism, right? It's like, okay, so I can kind of see how their life is easier to only have just the bare minimum. But going from what my house is like to that, it's just kind of this, it just seems like a fantasy land. Like that's not real. People can't live like that. And so that's where staying in a vacation rental that really has the bare minimum is a great opportunity to think about these things and to go, what do I need? Are we able to survive with the bare minimum? Is this easier? Is it easier to live this way? So a couple things to think about with a vacation rental is they basically, if it's a place where you can cook, okay, like this, you need to be able to cook, okay? You need to be able to sleep. You need to be able to relax, if it's a place that's a rental, not as opposed to a hotel room. You need to be able to do the basic cleaning up after yourself. Other things to think about is, they're wanting to flip these places within a day. We check out at this time, other people are checking in at this time. That means that they're gonna need to get this place clean really quickly. So the less stuff that there is, the easier that's gonna be. So they're only gonna want one sink's worth of dishes, even if, which we didn't, but even if somebody was to use every single dish in the place, they're gonna wanna be able to quickly get all those dishes done. But they're gonna keep it to the minimum so that cleaning is gonna be easy and they can get it done quickly. Let's just kind of look at some of the stuff that's in here. So this is a rental that is supposed to be for 6 people. these are the dishes that they have. You've got stuff to cook in, you've got coffee cups, obviously that's important here. You've got your coffee maker, your microwave. So everything that we need is here, and it just helps me shift my perspective on what do I need at home, so that it gives me that idea of living with the bare minimum. Did we survive for a week? Yeah, we did. Does that mean we could survive with less stuff at home? That doesn't mean I'm gonna get rid of everything except for just these things at home, but it gives me a different perspective on that for me to be able to think about it later. I packed everything I need to wear for a week in here, which means I chose my favorite, most comfortable clothes. Even a dress. I know, I'm kind of in this dress thing right now. But it obviously is not everything I'm gonna need to wear for work events and blah, blah, blah. I get that. But this is a container. This is a container in which I put my very favorite clothes enough for a week. Well, if I'm having laundry day and doing my laundry every week, all the way, start to finish, then technically, supposedly, I could live with 1 week's worth of clothing. And this is a shift, and it's an opportunity for me to think about, what is 1 week's worth of clothing? What is my favorite 1 week's worth of clothing for me to have, to be comfortable in, to, you know, feel good in, blah, blah, blah. It's just an opportunity for me to think about, if I was a minimalist, this is what I would boil everything down to, which then helps me see the things that don't fit into that in a different way, so that when I go home, I can look at stuff and think, this is the stuff that I didn't pack for my vacation. That means it wasn't vacation worthy. It wasn't vacation container worthy. Okay. So it's just an opportunity for me to go, I have lived like a minimalist for a week. Okay. I used to pack so many bags. I have traveled enough in my life now to realize I don't want to do that anymore, because the more bags I have, the more hassle that it is. Like, I have to, you know, haul all those things. But because I have come to that point from realizing I want to be a minimalist traveler, well, that lets me go, oh, okay, I can live like this for a week. How can that positively affect my view of my home, my view of my stuff? Okay, so that when I get home, I can look at things and go, I didn't miss having this. I enjoyed having a space that when it was time to check out, I needed to run one load of dishes. I needed to gather up all of my stuff and put it all back in this one contained space that's just for 1 week. So it's just a thought process. It's something to think about as you are, hopefully we're getting to travel a little bit these days, right? As you're doing that, and as you're already on this decluttering journey, use that opportunity for you to go, oh, okay, I did survive. I made it. I made it with minimal amount of stuff. So how can that then transfer into how I view my home? Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts and what you've changed in your house after staying in a vacation rental, because I think it's an interesting conversation to have.